How long ago was your webcam business?
Yeah, so I stopped having any involvement with it. I think 8 to 9 years ago I stopped. It was a long time ago. It was at the early stages of the internet. And I'll explain it one more time for people. I've explained it already at length, but I'll explain it from the beginning. I had a company. I was fighting at the time. And on a side note, I actually want to make this clear. We talk about things people have done in the past for money. I beat people up for money. I hurt people for money. I don't often tell people this, and I think it's the first interview I've mentioned it in. There's a person who can never walk the same again because he fought me. I've had 87 professional fights, and I did my best to kill people. You're going to sit here and talk about what I did for money. I literally hurt people for money.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a perfect person. I'm not sorry for my kickboxing career or my cage fights. I'm not sorry for any of it. I had bare knuckle fights. I'm not sorry for any of them, right? I was a person who had to pay the bills. I lived the life I lived. I used the tools I had. And I ended up opening a webcam company where girls would sit on a laptop and they would talk to guys on the internet for money. That's what they would do. The girls would sit there fully clothed or a bikini. Some of them would paint pictures. Some of them would sing songs. It's very similar to Twitch is now. Twitch is almost more sexual than the sexual websites were back then. I helped the girls set up accounts. We worked together. I helped them become as popular as possible. And everybody made money and everybody was happy. And nobody is complaining about it. Nobody's upset about it. None of the girls who worked for me are upset about it. The government aren't after me for it. It's perfectly legal. Nothing's wrong with it. There's just a whole bunch of people who now think that they can take the moral high ground against me because I previously ran this company. And I think I can anticipate the question you're going to ask. How do I reconcile with the fact that I used to produce pornography or degree pornographic content?
Now men are writing to you like, how do I?
And now men are trying to escape it.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. There's a few different ways I can answer that question. I think the first way I'll answer it is if you own a liquor store and an alcoholic comes in and you refuse to sell him alcohol, does he stop being an alcoholic? He just goes and buys from someone else. So that's the cop-out answer. The cop-out is, well, these people who are addicted are always going to be addicted regardless of whether I did it or not. So that's the cop-out answer. But the second answer I can give, which I think is more detailed and probably more nuanced, is one, I intimately understand the relationship between men and these websites. I've had and seen men give away their life savings to girls they've never met. I've watched them.
Yes, very true. A couple of things here. People are judging Andrew Tate for owning a webcam business many years ago and calling him a pimp and all kinds of stuff. These are the same people. Men, mostly, feminized men mostly, who watch women on OnlyFans. So what do you think OnlyFans is? OnlyFans is the same thing. OnlyFans is pretty much the same or even worse than a webcam business. It's the same thing. It's a woman getting on camera with her webcam and show that she's taking off her clothes or whatever, getting nude, whatever she's doing. And she has a fan base, men and some women who are paying her a subscription every month to watch her content, to watch her pornographic content. That is OnlyFans. And we have a large majority. As a matter of fact, women make more money on OnlyFans. Women, I think it's about 70% or so, are the content creators for OnlyFans. Men on OnlyFans, when it relates to content creators, are a very small percentage, and they also make less of the money. However, there are a large number of men that are consumers of it. So they are watching the OnlyFans content and they're given they're subscribing to it. Then there's the other PayPix. I think it's called PayPix. Yeah, where men are PayPix, right? So they're paying a woman whatever she wants, whether she wants a handbag, a Gucci bag, or she wants to travel to Dubai, or she wants to go shopping, or she wants to rent paid, or whatever, pair of nice pair of shoes. They're called PayPix, Paypig. And there are these men who are giving away their hard-earned money to be a pay pig to support these women. I don't remember the name of the women that they're called, but I know the men are called pay pigs. So they're actually these women that they've made it a profession to live off, or let me say a better way, to suck off these pay pigs And these men just give money, send them money, just like that, just like that. So, and they want to judge Andrew Tate. Please give me a break.
And I've seen it. And I actually think a lot of the insights I give, a lot of the things I tell the world about the mental health crisis, about men being so constantly lonely, about how important it is to build yourself into a high value man, about how money alone is not enough. I explain all these things. A lot of these are lessons from the webcam days. I saw dudes who had a whole bunch of money, no other attributes, and they ended up on these websites spending hundreds of thousands of dollars because they didn't have anything else. So I think I learned a lot of important life lessons, and I do my best to try and pass them on to people. But I guess also, and this is the final answer I want to give about this whole subject, is that I do think I can take the question you're asking and reverse engineer it and use it against the people who are trying to attack me for it. My answer to it would be, how do you sit and want to criticize me for being involved in the production of pornography 10 or 11 years ago if you're involved in the consumption of it? Because you're creating a market for it.
Hello.
So anybody who wants to sit and say that I did things wrong, that's fine. You're allowed to throw.
Mic drop. Yes, you are creating a market for it. If there's no market for this type of material, pornographic material, then it will not exist. So we have the women, for the most part, who are producing it, and we have the men on the other part who's consuming it. And a lot of those men who are criticizing Andrew Tate for his past business are a lot of these men, they consume this kind of content. So they're driving the market. If there's no demand for the product, the product wouldn't exist, right? Okay, let's carry on.
Stones. But if you're in a glass house, if you have ever signed up to an OnlyFans account, if you have Instagram, if you're following these models on Instagram who you don't know, who are showing their tits and ass all day, if you've watched porn, if you fancy or think some beautiful woman on a movie, if you're going to live in lust yourself and you're funding this entire industry, you're downstream, you're at the bottom of it. How can you then take the moral high ground on the person who's producing it? That doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly.
So if you've totally abstained from pornography your entire life and you've never looked at it ever, and you've never been involved with it ever, and you're a perfect person and you want to come along and say what I did was wrong, that's fine.